All right, let's go over our things to do list. Um, Menu manager's state can be made into observable, so updates trigger. Yeah, so menu manager is a bit complicated now, and it has a mixed logic of using its own internal states and listening for messages, creating the GUI stuff, but also um, some of the states, internal states, such as editing and microphone, can be and are already using the RxJS or events. So there's some redundancy there. We can do some refactoring there. So this is kind of a re-architect, refactor issue. Move default member state from space broker to a function from to be a function from member manager. Okay, this is a refactor. It's that we have some initial state. I think we've already done this, right? Because we actually took member manager out. So our default state, is that coming from space broker? Yeah, I think it is. So I'm not sure that we need to do this. So let me show you here. It is in space broker. When we are connecting to a channel, we're saying send the space params, and space params gets updated after camera ready is joined. You send this state. This is the initial state. And I see something red at the bottom. What is this about? Okay, mic preference forward. Mic preference as state. I think this got renamed to a kind of observable. So you're sending latest with own state, putting in, what is own state? Own state is a member state which has a mic preference. What's this? Boolean is not, okay. So if the mic preference is true, then, hold on, mic muted. This should be mic muted preference. If mic muted preference is true, which means it's muted, then say off and on. It's this kind of stuff that's a little bit, yeah, tricky. So I'll write that as a next. The fact that there's booleans and also off and on that state. So I wouldn't say move default member state from space broker to somewhere else, or factor mic pref is sometimes boolean and sometimes on off. Consolidate. I don't like it when the same thing is expressed multiple ways. Bug. When you open a browser and open another browser, and then the second browser looks for the cube representation, you can't find the avatar. So I think we should prioritize bugs before any kind of refactoring. Any other bugs? Not sure we need to maintain all the member states and observable. If we only, yeah, yeah, this is a refactor. And after unmuting, you should say unmute and store actual published status. I think we're doing this. WebRTC Manager also update audio actual. So we're not doing that. And do we need to put in audio actual, because the place where we update it is far away from that state. So okay, after menu should say mute. After unmuting, menu should say mute and go back to, and then have a button to go back to muting. Store actual published status. I would say refactor after WebRTC is publishing audio. If successful, it doesn't tell you, the client doesn't tell you if it's successful or not. We have to trap for errors. Determine if successful, and after we request publishing audio, determine if successful or unsuccessful. Our Agora wrapper API may need a callback or listen for errors. Okay. When it is changed and broadcast a new state again to space channel, which will update on state. Yes, I think we're doing that. Menu can subscribe to own state and update menu upon member state change, mapping it to, yeah, I think that is redundant. I mentioned that at the top. Verify click mute sends new state to server and everyone else. I think it does that. Grab a nickname from the user. Okay, so new feature. Move camera movements and hand movements out of Signal Hub. Yes, I did that. Create new ets table for space server so we can store member state about Mike. Yes, we did that. Or when a new user joins, we can query about existing members once. Yes, I did. Yeah, we can create a table for add audio profile for Agora. So this is new feature or improvement. Create a member manager in JS that keep track of how many active users and if they are muted or not and what their nickname is. So if somebody closes their session, then comes back in, we're going to get all their information again because of the join message. So why do we need a member manager that keeps track of how many? Oh, well, what? Okay, we need a count of how many unmuted microphones there are, but we don't actually need a member manager for all their details. If they mute or unmute their microphone and they're doing all that kind of stuff, we have some listening for these events, and we might even draw icons on their avatar showing whether they're muted or not muted and their subsequent volume, but I think those might just be dedicated messages and not coupled into a whole state thing. So I'm not sure we need this. WebRTC Manager, initialize Agora app when channel is connected. We do this, we have this. RTC Manager would only possibly connect if channel is connected, but we actually don't even connect at that point unless you have the right number of unmuted members. Only join when there's one unmuted member and at least two members total. Leave if, so we did that. Show an indicator if they're muted, show an indicator who is talking. Okay, so these are improvements. So show nickname or improvement. Show nickname over avatar. Show mic muted status. And then this was a state, which this is the thing I'm not totally sold on. Okay, add color picker. So this is new feature. Add a listener when dragging the bounding box gizmo where fix a bug where Agora voice would stop publishing. Improvement. Fix a bug where Agora voice would stop publishing. So I'm not sure what causes that. We need more logs, which we added logs for that. And well, one thing we could do is see if not just log it here, but log it into a table in the backend that we could look at. So that maybe there's a button that we said, we could report bugs to. Maybe a bug reporter. So feature log the logs into the backend so we can view them later. View them offline later. Yeah, otherwise the logs that you're looking at, even in VR, are just the last 100 logs. And can log commands and event stream to correlate with log timestamps. Basically event sourcing. Because if you can record that, you can play it back and have these ghost members moving around. Oh yeah, we need the feature be able to delete a selected object. Feature, pick up and throw an object. Okay, feature, add an image wall. Feature, some simple behavior like cause and effect. Add some sound. Add a gun, add a monster. Okay, we're getting to our wish list here. Render skybox behind everything. I don't really like skybox. Skybox has corners. Don't really like it that much. It's also hard to give it images that line up. So maybe it's remove skybox. So explore sky dome with what do we have now? We have settings. So use skybox or use skybox inclination. Okay, so we're not using the skybox, we're just using green. If we turn this on, use skybox. And I guess this is a texture for the skybox, so this is fall color. Okay, so we turn this on. Any errors? I don't see any skybox. Let's go back. Oh, it didn't even save. What happened here? Wait. A, B, C. Oh, am I on the wrong one? This one. Edit. A. Okay, maybe I jumped into the wrong one then. Switch the order on me. There we go. Okay, yeah, I do see the seams in the skybox. I don't see why this couldn't be made with maybe a dome. And then the problem with the skybox is you eventually run into it. It's maybe 10,000 meters away, but you can eventually get to the outside. Well, this is set to infinity, I think. But you can still have objects that are set so far that they're just outside of it. So we wanted to render the skybox behind everything because when we set it too far, there's too much. Okay, when skybox distance is set too far, at 10,000 meters, then fog covers everything. Then when skybox is set too close to make fog reasonable, then it can clip local objects. So we can explore a sky dome that renders behind everything and no seams. So, I mean, this will be the same thing as adding your own skybox, except that you will have no seams, right? I say this is low priority. Video camera and screen sharing. So add that feature. Add a cylinder type. Add primitive feature. Animate changes. So we see things slide into place, especially when you move components. Feature. Edit mode where you can click and move with the pointer. or hover, pull up a menu to launch game modes. Okay, we did this. Mobile movement joystick feature. Make a hamburger menu button. It doesn't have to be a hamburger, but we made that button mounted to the left hand. Menu pulls up advanced dynamic texture. We're doing that. Learn how to hook up buttons, button events to code. Click a primitive button to place it in the scene. Yeah, we did that. We put it at the origin. Consider getting rid of the edit slug for a space. People don't know what it means. For now, it's still easier for me to test because I can create a very short slug and then just jump to the URL. Maybe low priority. So explore that. And remove template and plug in model migrations. Are they still in there? Where are my migrations? Priv, repo, migrations, templates and plugins. Yep, they're here. Okay, so this is cleanup. Alright, so let's move our bugs to the top. There's another bug. These two might both be interesting. Okay, so let's try this again. We open up one browser and we don't see ourselves, obviously. What are the issues here? We have any issues? So we're going to open up Firefox, jump into the same place, and open up what data it gets. Here we are. We jump into the space, allow, confirm. We got the same member count, so if I come over here, and I want to turn around, where are you? Pretty sure we should be right about here. And we don't see it. So why? This side got 2 member state for 2 people. We got a presence diff. So what is our own? Okay, we are JSK something. So we got ourselves, and we got this person as well, member state. Oh, but it's not a position. We can't create a person from member state. But over here, we must have gotten a join. Presence div. We got a join with metas, JSK, blah blah blah. Okay, nothing in there. So we got member state, which should have given us it should have been, let's see, let's go to space channel. We would have sent new member. And a new member would have had params, which has both state and pause rot. So let's look at who is the listening to new member. Member manager. And this update, okay, that's not important. I don't even think this is instantiated right now. Scene manager is listening to incoming new member and then find or create this thing. Okay. Yes. New member means that browser A will receive new member and draw browser B's new member. But browser B would not receive new member because new member is a broadcast from. We don't send it to everybody. But we need to know members. We need to know all the people that are there. So we need to read members. So space channel pushes members. Signal hub defines members. But then it converts members into member state, which does not include the pause rod. Okay, I'm not sure that the member state is all that useful. There's new member, there's members, there's member state updated, there's presence diff. So we convert this into a new kind of signal, individual member state. And the thing about members is it's actually giving you states and movements because it's initial thing about members. So what if in, where are we doing that, signal hub? What if there's none of this member state? Observable member states on member state. So, yeah, what if there's no these two things? Okay, there's no member states. What will happen is that the entire infrastructure for detecting the microphone business will be off. Go back to the space channel. Alright, so For everyone else, we say there's a new member, and that will give state and pause rot, which is pretty good considering we need to know lots of stuff about them. Okay, so I think this is good. So we'll just tell existing members about us so they can draw us as an avatar. Okay. This is tell us about existing members so we can draw their avatars. So we get, this is arranged not by members but by states and movements. So Scene Manager can listen to this directly and draw their initial position and draw this one. Listen to this one, new member and states. So let's take care of that first. Scene Manager needs access to that. So let's go to the space broker and forward mic is okay. A lot of this stuff is broken as expected, but let's figure out Scene Manager first. Let me just let's leave this here. Scene Manager okay, anytime we get a message, we're going to emit that into incoming. So fine, we go to Signal Hub, incoming, which is emitter of incoming events. Incoming events, which can be members, which is a movements or a states, and new member, which is member ID, pause rot, and states. Okay, so these are fine. So in Scene Manager, we're gonna listen for new member, and then we also need to listen for incoming on members. Subscribe to this is either states or movements, so we want movements. And we basically go through object entries in movements, and for each you'll get a callback function, and the thing in for each would be an array with the member ID, and it is the member ID and the pause rot. here we'll do this find or create avatar, give it the member ID, and give it payload.poserock. That should be types. Okay, so that should draw everybody. We don't want to draw ourselves though, right? So if member ID is not equal to this member ID, then draw it. We have this member ID, right? Okay, this member ID is kind of this member ID, okay. Alright. That okay, we've got to fix the other JavaScript errors first. Which this thing is not good at informing me where they are, but I do see them underlined. Well, we knew that somewhere in space broker at the bottom here. Yep, member states. So and possibly in WebRTC Manager. Yeah. So this thing is observing this giant member state thing, which is the thing that I'm not sure we need. So we're getting signals that we're getting things down. Really, the only thing we want is to pay attention to their microphone preference. So I'd like to have a signal that's just that. So in the beginning, we create this default over in space broker, and we say we're going to send this thing, microphone off, not knowing anything about ourselves. We're going to send this off. And this might as well be a kind of could be an observable as well. Anyway, we make this up, we send it over, they cache it, the server caches it into the ETS table, and then it's also broadcast in join new member to everyone else, and it's put as part as members messages for future members. And it contains microphone information, so we could listen to that. So we're listening to new members. We grab all of that. Add it in. Grab all of the new member and members, and then grab information about mic on and mic off. It comes back down to Signal Hub then. Of the outgoing events, this is maybe too generic. So we have the internal local events. We have behaviors that have a mic muted preference. So when you change this thing, who is listening to mic muted preference? Space broker. You're listening to it, and then you're sending a member state changed. But we could just say member state patched. So outgoing events don't say member state change if you want to replace the whole thing, but you could say member state patched, and the payload will be self, so we don't need the member ID, but we do need the property name. So property is a key of types member state, and the value is any. What is a member state? Member state could be an interface. If you say it's an interface and you make all of them optional, then you can send any portion of it. Let's do that. I go to types, member state. Let's just change this all to this. And this can be an interface. So then in Space Broker, if we want to forward the mic preference, we just need to observe on the observable the signal hub observables, the mic muted preference, subscribe. So we have muted is muted. Let's send it over the wire. So signal hub outgoing emit patched, and we simply send a new object which has a mic preference, and currently it has to be a value of on or off, so we'll just say is muted. If you're muted, then the value is off, otherwise it's on. And then we don't need any of this. Correspondingly, we need to respond to this over in space channel. So we'll handle, whoops, in. That the member state is patched. New patch or patch socket to. So we'll read. So look up. Do we have a function for this? So get state, give the member ID. Socket assigns member ID and the table, which is socket assigns member states, and the value should be a payload. Which I think this should be a tuple. So we could say error not found. Okay, so this will crash hard. Okay, so here we're gonna get a payload, and so we'll do new state equals map merge the old payload and the patch and stick it in. So let's insert into socket assigns member states. The new tuple is socket assigns member ID and the new state. Finally, we just return and just broadcast. Just let it flow through. We need another word to call this though, because that's outgoing. I'm not sure we need another word. I think it's okay because you have separated outgoing and incoming. Let's see what happens though. Member state patch, just broadcast that to broadcast from. Okay, that's one way to solve it. Broadcast from socket, say member state patched, and the payload becomes member ID, which again is socket assigns member ID, and the patch I don't love it. I don't think it actually can be merged because the patch, no, it can be because it's the exact same thing. We said this is the patch. Okay, so that's why it's mergeable. I think you could just send the whole thing though. So sending it, you don't have to say the whole thing, but coming down, you could just say that the member state changed then. You could just do this. So patching, you don't have to tell us, you don't have to give us the previous state. Just give us the patch. We merge it and then give you the new, everybody the new value. So then that'll come through the incoming. There's incoming. Member state updated. We get this whole thing. It's not that much. So with the whole thing, what happens now? We still need to fix audio stuff. So the join conditions are that. And we need to listen for new members. Sorry. Listen for members new. Don't. Listen for members, new member, and member state updated, and presence diff. This will give you the state of previous members when you join, anybody who joins after you, so anyone who joined before you, anyone who joins after you, anyone who changes during the time, anyone who leaves. So you can count all of these in order to figure out this condition, and you're the only one that needs that, so nobody else needs to maintain a whole state. So we can merge all of these signals into a kind of scan. So I think we would do combine latest. Const members equal signal hub incoming on members. Const new member equals signal hub incoming on new member. Const member stay updated equals signal hub incoming on member stay updated, and const presence diff equals signal hub incoming on presence. Oh, yeah, presence diff. Combine latest. Pass an array of sources, which is members new, member, member state updated, and presence diff. Then pipe and scan. So we'll continue this later.